Dear viewers, we have in special edition with Dr. Ibrahim Mulushewa about grand narrative in Ethiopia. Stay tuned with our program. What is a narrative from a political and historical point of view, and how is narrative built, and what purpose does it serve?
Okay, first and foremost, I'm very much glad to be your guest here. When it comes to narrative is very much related to history. History is what happened in the past and what really happened, but what really happened is not enough in order to explain history, and how to speak about it is very important. That is what we call narration. How to understand it, how to present it, that is what we call narration. Therefore, there is no history without narration, without presenting it in terms of words or writings. And the style is very important. How to narrate it, how to say it out is very important, because it shows you the perspective you have, the notion, the emotion even, and everything is included there in the narration. Therefore, narration is how to present history, in my opinion, is narration. As a history student, I'm very much interested in narration and historiography, and the importance of narration. Sometimes in Ethiopia, narration is depicted to be something negative. We call it sometimes የተሳሳተ ትርክት, wrong narration, we call it. But being wrong doesn't represent narration itself. Narration is a neutral word. You can abuse it, you can use it for something good, but still narration is a very important aspect of not only history, but literature, philosophy, and everything can be
affected by
by narration, the way you present it. That means.
So in Ethiopia experience, how narratives affecting the historical relationships, policy engagement between Ethiopian nationalities?
Okay. First, we have to see Ethiopia is not unique. Sometimes we make things when we are talking about Ethiopia, just we take Ethiopia as a unique character. No. Ethiopia is part of the world. Ethiopia is one of the countries in the world. There are many, more than, I think, around 200 countries. Among them, every nation has its own history, and Ethiopia does too. Therefore, Ethiopian history is not the only history in which controversy is prevail. There are countries in which controversial issues are debated, but the important thing is how to deal with differences. What I'm always saying is our problem is not a political history, but historical. It's not about political history we are arguing, but with politicizing history. We are politicizing history. We are not quarreling. History is neutral. What happened in the past is called history. Therefore, for example, Adwa happened. Therefore, it happened once. It is actual, factual happening. Nobody argue about it. But when you ask an Italian perspective and Ethiopian perspective,
it's quite different.
Yes, because take it like this. In court, when people are accused each other, the same happening, the same thing happened, the same crime committed. But those who are accused of committing and those who are defending have different perspective about the same thing.
The same issue.
The same issue, the same crime. Just take it history like this. Historical narration We are different in our way of treating history, like we are doing in the court. The important thing is not about narration, but there in the court, it's not about the defender or the one accusing
the other part. Yeah.
The important thing is the judge. How to judge.
How to judge, yeah.
To listen to the, the judge is expected to listen to both of them.
Yeah.
And, in Ethiopian history, our problem, I'm always insisting that in Ethiopian history, it's not about even the narration. It's not about even the differences. It's about the judge. Who is the judge? Who is to judge? Institutions. Yeah. Those institutions are state institutions, universities, research centers, and those activists, many of them involved in judging
the
therefore our institutions, especially when it comes to the nation history, our institutions should serve everyone in this country. Every narration should be treated equally. The most difficult thing in Ethiopia is treating one aspect of narration as Ethiopia and the other is us, alien, foreign. That was the trouble. Therefore, in Ethiopian history, let me tell you, one thing is always clear for us. For example, in political debate, differences are tolerated.
Yeah.
Is that not the case? Yeah. We tolerate, at least we understand in terms of perspective, in terms of idea that it is something good to treat differences in political terms. Why not we apply to historical narration? In history also, we have to allow to have our own way of narration, and it has to be taken as legitimate. Legitimizing one narration as something good and the other as bad is the most important problem we are facing. Therefore, I always insist on this. Democratization is not only working for politics, it is also working for historical narration. That is the trouble we are facing. Therefore, we use the word የተሳሳተ ትርክት in order to attack others. There is no የተሳሳተ ትርክት we are promoting together.
We are labeling now.
Yes, we are labeling. We are labeling each other.
Correct,
we are accusing each other of doing something wrong. But we are not ready to reconcile, to come together, to debate, to have a discussion on topics which makes us our ideas different from one another. That is the important issue we have to deal with, in my opinion.
In global experiences, there is several countries that use these grand narrations to change their countries. In Ethiopian perspectives, do we have such grand narrations that build the
First, let us define what grand narration is. Grand narration is a comprehensive narrative form of our identities, our histories, our everyday life. How we comprehend, how we understand our past and our future. When we apply to those things to history, grand narration, in my opinion, is a narration in which at least many of us to agree upon.
Common, like something common.
Yes, in which we can potentially, not actually, but we can potentially build consensus on that. What does it mean to have consensus on something? That means to have at least an opinion near to one another, there are things in which we have to agree upon in order to live together.
Yeah.
There are things we can tolerate their differences, Therefore, as an Ethiopian, as Ethiopians, we are not successful yet. There are countries in which at least many of their important aspects of life in history on which consensus are made. Therefore, that means if we agree on something, if we have reached consensus, that means in action also we have a potential to work together, that means. If I am not in a position to agree with you on something, I am not also agreeing with you in action also. Therefore, what kind of country did we have in the past? At least the main parts should be agreed.
Yeah.
That is what we are not expected to agree on each and everything.
Yeah. Impossible.
Yes, it's impossible. We are human beings.
Yeah.
It is social science.
Yeah.
And human mind is functioning like this. I and you are very different persons in many, for many reasons. Experiences, your identity. We are diverse. Your background, your educational background, your ethnic background, your religious background. These all things are influencing us. Therefore, but we have to work on consciously
in common ground or common consensus.
In order to we have to create a conscious. We have to make a conscious move in order to create a narration, a common narration, in order to be understanding each other, in order to work together, in order to live together. We are living in one country, which is called Ethiopia. Was it created by someone? Yes, someone had to have initiative in order to create a nation. This is applicable to Germany. This is applicable to Italy, America, or something. Ethiopia is not unique. In history, one of the most important mistake, in my opinion, is to take Ethiopia as a very unique country, whose experience is not seen in other parts of the world. No. Historical controversy is in every country. I did my PhD in Turkey. The Turks are not agreeing on the actions, policies, the way Turkey was created by Ataturk. There are controversy over Ataturk. But the Turks were successful, at least in having a notion of unity. That means a kind of narration which makes them, which makes their unity, about Turkishness and so on. Therefore, we have to have a minimum, at least a minimum dose of consensus on historical happenings. For example, on Adwa, it can be built on that. We have even our sufferings are together. Our sufferings, our even poverty. What we just experienced in the past. Even our dictator leaders were oppressing us all. This kind of things. Even our heroes, from different ethnic group, different religion, they can be a kind of statue to build on them. The nation, Therefore, if we are consciously working on consensus, we can do it. But we are doing consciously our split, our separation. If you do something, if you intend to create unity, you can create. If you want to create disunity, you can't do it. Therefore, it is our conscious decision which matters than what happened in the past.
Okay. When you come to nationalism and patriotism in Ethiopia in political history, how these two concepts practice in Ethiopia?
First, nationalism and patriotism are related but two different concepts. Nationalism is a view, even an ideology you have about your country. When you, by the way, nationalism is a recent phenomenon in world history. Nation state, nation state itself is. Nationalism is a kind of ideological commitment that you are living in a country you love, you adhere to a certain principles that makes you citizen, in my opinion. Patriotism is more action oriented. Patriotism is a kind of commitment you have to your country. You are struggling for your country. For example, if you are patriot, you can give your blood to your country. You have shown your patriotic things. For example, you can clear the streets in Addis Ababa.
You can donate your blood.
Yes, you donate blood and so on. This is patriotism is more action oriented, in my opinion. But a nation, a nationalism is the fact, the notion, the view, you are belonging to a certain nation, that means a certain country. You are a citizen of a country. Therefore, we can be Ethiopian nationals, but at the same time, we may hate Ethiopia. We are not, or we are neutral. We cannot be patriot. We don't care about it. Therefore, patriotism is a little bit higher level of commitment.
When we see in the ground, how did you describe? Is it these concepts in Ethiopian?
I think there is patriotism in Ethiopian, historically and now. The important thing is people love their country. But they may not have the same view about their country, the same definition about how this country should go, how this country should be is the important thing. In my opinion, there are two kinds of, at least, nationalisms in Ethiopia. One is called Ethiopianists, even if it is controversial. Those who say that we are Ethiopians and Ethiopia should be united, should be a unitary, even we can say that. And those who emphasize the kind of particular identities, what they call, some historians and some political scientists call them ethno-nationalists and Ethiopian nationalists. In my opinion, two of them are thoughts in this country created because of the very fact that this country existed and the very fact that people have their own experience of this country. For some of us, Ethiopia is, a kind of paradise because we thought that we are benefiting from this country. And there are some of us are not happy with the way this country was created, the way this country was functioning, the way governments were imposing their identity on us, the way language policy was enacted, the way difference in religion was treated. Therefore, we have different opinions. But in my opinion, commitment to either this or that nationalism doesn't deny you being a patriot. You are still patriot, whether you are in this class or in that class. because you love your country. Because you love your country, you have your own ideas about that country. Therefore, my idea may be different from you. That doesn't, people are accusing each other.
The action is decided by action.
Yes, by action, but the way everybody loves his country. My opinion about my country, my opinion about Ethiopia, Ethiopia should be like this. When I say I love Ethiopia, no, you can't say that Ethiopia should be like this. Ethiopian history was like this. This is my opinion. Still I am committed. Still I can be patriot with my differences with you.
Okay. When we come to multiculturalism, as we know, Ethiopia, different religion, different ethnic groups, different views also. How do you see the practice of multiculturalism and the issues also, diversity and inclusion, properly for dealing the nation, the nationality of Ethiopia in the ground? How did you see this practiced?
First, multiculturalism, multi-ethnicity, multi-religious aspect of Ethiopia is a fact which cannot be denied. Yeah. Therefore, my opinion is, first, this is a fact and nobody is denying that. But our management of diversity and even our thoughts on diversity management is different from one another. Some emphasize the unity aspect of our identity. Some emphasize the diversity, the real particularity of our identity, In my opinion, we have to reconcile between these two extremes. Yes, we are diverse. We have diverse religion. We have diversity in religion. We have diversity in ethnicity, in culture, in language. Our differences should be treated as a fact, but still there must be also a conscious work of building unity. That unity should not be imposing one identity, one language, one religion on all of us.
All of us.
But that unity can come with the contribution of every one of us, every culture, every ethnicity, every religion has its own way of contribution to the unity of our nation. That should be consciously built. Historically, before 1991, before this EPRDF came into power, the Ethiopian governments were accused of denying the rights of different cultural, ethnic, and religious rights of people. What EPRDF was also accused is it disregard unity. That was the accusation. Therefore, what I see is every system has its own advantage and disadvantage. How to deal with this, how to address this disadvantage and create a kind of nation,
the gaps,
yes, a kind of nation in which both unity and diversity are reconciled. This is the question we as Ethiopians should ask.
Lastly, Ethiopian Nation and Nationality Days is celebrated annually in different places in different regions. How did we commit to nationalism and patriotism to build our nations?
In my opinion, there is nothing we can do about our differences but to accept first. Second, even common narration can be made out of discussion and dialogue and even what can I say, fighting, debate, even more. Therefore, we have to allow people to come with their own narration by allowing people to come with their own narration, not demonizing one narration in order to promote another one, you know.
Yeah.
Therefore, the only way we have, in my opinion, is to allow every narration to come to the table, to discuss, to debate, to fight over ideas, you know. Then out of that, you know, this is dialectic. If for example, if I am suppressed by you, that I am not going to speak what is in my mind, you are oppressing me.
Yeah.
Therefore, allowing people, giving their rights to speak out what they feel is the most important solution, in my opinion, for creating a narration, a common narration, what we call it grand narration. Therefore, it is, at the end of the day, democracy which can create unity rather than separation of one narration and demonizing this narration and praising another narration. That is a wrong methodology, in my opinion. In my opinion, democracy is the only way out. Democracy is about speaking out your mind and respecting what I am speaking out my mind. You know? Therefore, respect each other, debate, make a dialogue. You know? People should not be frightened in order to speak what they feel. That is the only way we have. Therefore, we can create, through this democratic process, I think, at the end of the day, there will be a grand narration of Ethiopia.
As you say, there is the way is to debate and to discuss with each other. There is also the National Dialogue Commission is also now, maybe in few months, will commence its operations. What did you say about these efforts?
I was in discussion with them last week with one of the commissioners. It was very interesting, and they are doing great work. At least they are making the foundation for the debate. I think the initiative is marvelous, even if we are waiting for the actual debate, but still the foundational work is going well, in my opinion. I think it will create something positive in the future, and the initiative is very good. Not only the national dialogue, but also the transitional justice initiative is also very important for Ethiopia. I think, in my opinion, exercising this kind of serious engagement is vital for the very well-being of this country and our development, our prosperity.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ibrahim Mulushewa.
I thank you too.
We thank also our viewers for attending our program. Until the next edition, bye-bye.